Hey, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Today, let's ask the question, how old is too old to start a company? So earlier this week, there was an article on Inc.com with this headline, "Here's how old you should be when you start a company according to science. It's not what you think." Now, I don't know if you read Inc.com very often. It's on my Flipboard feed, so I see the articles as they come in, and their headlines are pretty clickbaity, right? You just can't help but read them sometimes, right? So this brought me in, and I was looking at it thinking, I know it was going to say it would be like probably, late 20s, early 30s, that kind of stuff. It won't be as young as you might think, but it'll probably be a bit later, right? I'm 45, so this is something I think about a lot. I think, am I starting out too late? I mean, I'm not just starting out because I've been doing it for a while, but things are finally starting to pick up, and I kind of, it always feels like it's just starting out. So you start thinking, have I started out too late? And I look, every time I see a success story about somebody who started out later in life, then I really pay attention. Like, oh, that, like Ray Kroc, like before the Michael Keaton movie came out, the founder last year, I read Grinding It Out by Ray Kroc, and it was really interesting that he started at McDonald's when he was 56, or he discovered McDonald's rather. So anyway, the article goes on to say that despite what most people think, that it's in the early 20s, or you look at Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg, think it's in the early 20s. If you take a look at the top 5% of the fastest growing startups, the average age is 42 years old. And if you take a look at the top 1%, it moves up to 43.7 as the average age. And if you take a look at the 0.1% of the fastest growing startup, the average age is 45. So anyway, I was pleased to see that. I thought, yes, bang on, bullseye, right? But ultimately it means nothing, right? The age that you start off doesn't matter, because I started thinking about it. Most companies that I work with, most products that I buy, most services that I subscribe to, I have no idea who the founder is, right? It has nothing to do with anything. In fact, I think a lot of the time, having that background, for me, working in the corporate life has really helped me out, in the past, just because, especially when we work with corporate clients, because I know what that culture is like, right? If it's me and someone who's never been in that kind of environment, competing for the same job, what I'll do is I'll start focusing a little bit more on the security and some of the things that I know that the risk management people are more worried about, oh, you could put that in the cloud, or you could put it in that cloud service, but we also know that you need compliance and all this kind of stuff, and just knowing the mentality sometimes helps out, and sometimes just being more cautious with things. And probably the biggest thing with starting out a little bit later is having a lot more money to spend and being able to spend your own money. Another thing this article talked about was when you look at VC funded companies, that age is actually a lot lower, because a lot of the venture capitalists, they go for the whole, they talk about, young Ivy League college educated white, basically, Mark Zuckerberg types. They tend to fund those, even though they might not be as successul. But ultimately, age doesn't really matter at all. But it was an interesting article, and I was just, once I saw that age 45, I thought, yes, I couldn't help but not talk about this. But really doesn't make, it's kind of like if you read something in a horoscope, you don't believe in horoscopes ever, you're like, that doesn't make any sense, doesn't make any difference. But then something will say something good, and you'll say, hey, look what my horoscope said, even though you don't believe in it. I saw that, and I thought I'd talk about that today. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a great day, and that's it for today. I'll talk to you tomorrow.